Hey guys, welcome to episode 8 of Creative to Creative. My name is Ray, aka Remcreate, and I'm here with Simon, also known as Nomis Photos.
Hello.
What is it? If you didn't know, Nomis backwards is Simon.
Yeah, that just to add on, it's funny because I thought people would notice it, but I guess people don't. And then sometimes to this day, I'll get like random DMs of people like, "I just realized what your name is, and it's backwards." I'm like, "Oh," like, and
I,
it's funny. It still
yeah,
makes me laugh because I'm like, "Man, I thought people would catch
I, st-
that."
I still remember Marvin Square Noodles. He's like, I thought it was a fruit.
Yeah.
I thought that was fucking amazing. But so like it's really cool because when I became a photographer, you were one of the first like photographers that I saw his work, and I'm like, God damn, this guy knows what he's doing. This,
Oh god.
and and there's like this one instance where I'll share this. Like, it's one of those things where like I was like the new guy with the camera, and like I was like really like excited to get into photos, and then like I took a picture of you, and I was like nervous. I was like, I don't know if like I'm doing this right. And it was an instance where it was you, me, Marvin, and Dominic at like that
Yeah,
spot.
I remember that.
Yeah. And then like you're like, oh, I really like this. Can you send it to me? And like it gave me like it gave me validation at that moment. Like,
That yeah, man. Still like that photo.
hmm,
It's a really clean shot. Um, Obviously, it's when my hair was like shorter and I styled it, and I think because you, you framed it right, and I like the lighting you chose, and it was beautiful. And then the green around
yeah.
really gave that like contrast, and it was beautiful.
And to be heard, it was one of those things where like freaking Marvin was doing the shot, and I was just like off to the side going like, all right, he's at a quarter turn. I didn't know what a quarter turn was
Hmm.
back then, but then I was like, all right, let's take the photo. But because of that, it's one of those things where like I like that encourage the creative rather than like break them down, which is awesome. Like,
Hmm.
but you are a photographer. You are a
Yes.
you're a photographer. You are an anime nerd. I've seen you in the cosplay scene, and here's the thing: like when it comes to photography, what was your first camera? Like, what?
So photography. I remember my dad had like an old Canon film Rebel, and
Mm,
surprisingly, I still have it because
mm,
I didn't want to get rid of that.
yeah.
And so, but interestingly enough, I didn't use that to shoot. So my
Mm.
first camera I actually had was an old Kodak point and shoot,
Oh,
and I
okay.
got that as like an eighth grade graduation, and I took so many photos. I recorded dumb shit. Sadly, I didn't know about backing up at the time, so
Yeah.
I lost everything. So all those photos are
Oh.
gone, and so I had to learn the hard way of, you know, trying to back up your photos. So always gotta back everything up with the hard drive. But I would say that kind of stopped me from taking photos because I don't know what happened. You know, just being a kid wandering around. I think photography grew for me at high school. I would say.
Mm.
So yeah.
Okay. So you had that camera when you graduated from middle school. When you got into high school, was it the same camera, or did you like go to another camera?
So that camera died out on me one day, and so I never, you know, having a camera never like kind of hit me in the head of having one. So until high school, I joined photography because my friends got into photography, and
Mm.
so I kind of wanted to hang out with them. And then when it, well, during that time it was film, so like
Mm.
I had to get a film camera, and luckily I still had my dad's camera, so
Yeah.
I ended up using that. And then digital was already coming into the scene, or it's been in the scene but starting to pick up.
Yeah.
um, my sister had a Rebel XSI,
Mm.
and she let me borrow it and ended up giving it to me, which got me super stoked. And I
Nice.
still have that too. I still have that camera to this day. And yeah, and it just kept me going, and I had to learn things the hard way, and yeah.
No, that's awesome because it's one of those things where like when like you learned at an early age what backing up data is because that's important. Like
Yeah.
I was I think in my computer alone I think I have like 3 4 terabyte hard drives and like
Jesus.
and I'm not and I'm a pack rat and like it doesn't help that I'm doing like YouTube videos now where it's eating up a lot more data too,
Yeah.
you know. And like that's nothing compared to like Justin. He has like a fucking whole 24 terabyte, 12 terabyte, like
Yeah.
yeah. But
Oh man.
other than that, like when it what did you graduate with in college for like a degree? Because I remember slightly, but like what was it specifically?
So, well,
Yeah,
I guess I'll go into a little personal life story.
go for it.
I never got to finish college. I actually
Okay.
had to drop college because I had to help my mom out with work. So, but luckily that gave me the experience of having a photo job.
Yeah.
But during college, I was taking photo classes. I was basically using that Rebel XSI for everything I did, and it kind of helped me and try to use the full potential of that camera. I eventually upgraded by buying a refurbished Canon 60D,
Yeah.
and I think that's where a lot of people started knowing me for that. Not
Yeah.
having that camera, but they knew like that was the kind of camera I had. Was like I was a Canon user,
Yeah.
and then so yeah, that was my horse camera. I freaking beat the living out of it, and then I ended up selling it
Mm.
uh, because it was time to kind of move on. And then Fuji came into my life, and I got really obsessed with it.
Which, by the way, like shout out to Maiko. Maiko is an awesome individual, and also your girlfriend.
Yes,
And
yes,
I remember that birthday because it was like a crowd fund, like get Simon this camera and everyone decided to like put into the camera fund and I was like, yo Simon, yeah, fuck yeah, I'm gonna throw in $25, like let's get this man a camera, you know.
dude. That you guys were that was like the craziest thing that I've experienced because I never knew that like friends would do that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it was really like meaningful that when I received it and I got that giant like letter that's saying like the people who invested into this and I like you and everyone else, like I really super thankful. So when I see that camera, it's like a reminder of like, like there's good people in this world,
Mm-hmm.
like people do care and love you and want to see you succeed and stuff like that. So if I can do the same, I would do the same to help pitch in for like a small gift to that make a huge impact to like a greater result kind of thing.
Oh yeah, most
So
definitely.
yeah.
Like, what got you to cosplay for into cosplay photography, and what was your first convention that you attended?
Oh shit. Okay, so going back to the Canon or the Kodak point and shoot,
Yeah.
my brother took me to AX once back when AX was in the Anaheim Convention Center. So
Oh.
man, eighth grade, and I want to say 2005, four, I don't know.
Yeah.
He took me for one day, and I remember seeing like the Kingdom Hearts Organization 13 group cosplay, and I was like super stoked because I'm like, wow, like this is like the thing, and I took photos, and obviously I lost that,
Yeah.
and then I kind of forgot about AX, and
Yeah.
then I became like this closet weeb,
Mm.
and then until my ex,
Yeah.
well, girlfriend at the time, she was also a big anime person, and she got me back into the con scene. And so, starting 2011, I start going like every year since, except for obviously this
This year.
year.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and that was the only con I knew. I never knew any other cons. I thought AX was the only thing, so I kind of saved my money just for that.
Yeah.
And every year I kept taking photos of cosplayers, and I kept seeing other photographers with like better gear. So my mindset was like, okay, what's my next thing I want to get?
Yeah.
I want to get a flash. I want to get this, and it was a slow process. I think it was because I didn't really have cosplay photographer friends during my time until when you and I met,
Yeah.
and all the rest of the people. I think everyone kind of grew faster because they knew everyone and everyone could share ideas. But for
Yeah.
me and others I've met, it was a little slower process.
Hmm.
Nothing wrong with that. It's just everyone has their own timing and pacing. So, but yeah, like I think 2011 is what made it start going the whole con route for me and shooting cosplay photos.
Oh, that's awesome. Because like, it's one of those things where like it's funny because like when it came to cosplay photography, like probably like before 2016, 2017, it was a very much like what was it every man for himself, like
Yeah.
like thing of like, because you had like your name brands like Saffles and like whatnot, and like it was super cool seeing them like I'm gonna butcher this name. Big White Bazooka or something like that? I forget.
Oh yeah, yeah, Big White Bazooka. Yeah,
Yeah,
Eric.
yeah, Eric. Yeah,
Yeah.
he like was probably like one of the people that was like actually making like livable money off of cosplay, which is like unheard of. But like, what was it? But it was very much every man for himself until like 2016, 17 came along, and then like it feels like we've been friends for like decades.
Yeah.
It's only been like what 3 years, and like
Yeah.
like it's weird like like that community like started to blossom especially down in Southern California, which was really fun and really cool, um
Hmm.
but like I remember specifically like you tell me like there'd be times where you would have your umbrella, your flash, and you'd be running around like AX. Like tell me about those days, man, like when it was like you like with your 60D.
The hustle.
Yeah, man.
So like I think during those stages I never did uh selling my shoots. I never
Yeah.
did like, oh, like pay me. Like I never liked the idea in the beginning because I was just like, I just want to shoot cool stuff. And
Yeah.
so I remember like at that point where I had my light stand, my flash and bro, I'm like, okay, this is it. Like I got to make this go.
Yeah.
And so I remember always time crunching with people like kind of like back to back almost. And I'll be like running across. I remember I'll see you or other people like, hey man, like I want to say hi. I have another shoot to go to, and then
Yeah.
like kind of book it. And yeah, those were like the interesting times of my photo cosplay photo path.
Yeah.
And then obviously throughout the years, I think people start noticing my gear start to like be less. Like I start carrying less things, and because I think that's what like you were mentioning before this, like before we started saying like how my style kind of changed.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Because like in the beginning, like when I saw your early stuff, and which is phenomenal, I'm gonna be showing it like right now, like there's a lot of like composite work, and
Yeah.
I dug that. Like what got you into compositing in the beginning?
So I always enjoyed looking at like surrealism, like fantasy kind of thing, things that look real but they're not. So like floating and like cloning and like very like visual, like imaginary like things.
Yeah.
So compositing was something I got into because of when I was in photo school, and so I kind of dig into that a little more, and I kind of try to understand like when to composite correctly and stuff. Obviously, I'm not the best at it, but
Yeah.
I could say like I would say I'm pretty decent
Oh
at
yeah.
it. So yeah, so I try to create some stuff. There's some things I don't think I ever share that it's like still composite work, or they're just deep in my Facebook
It's like
archive. Yeah, some
it's like
old stuff. So uh yeah, like composite is fun. I think if you want to get good at Photoshop, I think compositing is a pretty good thing to learn.
yeah. There's like one photo in particular that I'm gonna show now. It's the portal shot of like you at the laundromat, and like you're digging in and like you're going out the other end,
Mhm.
like this guy's like it's fun like hearing like that ideation, like how is that like shooting that at that laundromat.
Oh, okay. So that was one of my like projects in class to do was composite. That was like the topic, and my professor knew like, oh, she's seen my stuff, so she's like, create something really awesome. And so I was like, okay, pressure, but at the same time, I already had this vision. And uh, there's a laundromat next to my mom's work, and it's
Mm.
like huge, and it's a small plaza, But so my mom knew the people, and I asked my mom if she can get a hold of them to see like, is there a way I can kind of reserve a section? And they told me just come right when it opens, and you can just pick one spot and just do what you want. I'm like, cool. So I went over there, and if you look at the photo, you can see there's just this trail of just multiple like laundry like hole or mat thing, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
So I always had this vision of like, it will be funny if you go in and come out the other. And so I did that. I set up I believe I still have it. It's like an octabox, like softbox. And then I pointed, had my tripod. The hardest part was because the thing is like, it's so much easier if you have somebody with you.
Yeah.
But the thing is, these are like, if you can say like they're self-portraits, right?
Yeah.
You can kind of say that. So like a lot of me is putting a timer or pre-focusing somewhere.
Yeah.
And then running back and forth. And it was a pain in the ass. Like you can see me, there's one I'm in the laundry, like my legs in,
Yeah.
and there's another one, my legs out.
Yeah.
And so the legs out was harder because I had to count in my head of the timer. I'm like, okay, 3, 2, 1, and I had to like lift myself up and have my legs point a certain way.
Oh yeah.
And it was like hurting my ribs. But in my head, I kept telling myself, like, for the shot.
It's
you
for
have
the
to do
shot.
it for the shot. For the shot. So like, he took a couple tries. It was kind of funny because like, as the day went by, like people were coming in, so they were watching me. So it was kind of like, oh man, this is embarrassing because like I'm just the only person doing the silly thing of like, why is this person in the laundry? Like, so like, yeah, it was, multiple tries, and then just stitching them together, just masking it,
Yeah.
making sure everything's right, like no misalignments and stuff like that. Because I think the mistake people do when they try to do a composite, especially when they want that same background, it's like you can't have anything move. You got to keep it still.
Yeah.
Because the moment it shifts, that ruins, or it can change your perspective of the way that's shot. And then the simple lining of like an outline of something, like that little shift can really mess everything up.
Yeah.
So that's a key thing to keep in mind, and lighting too, obviously.
Because it's crazy because like whenever you talk photography and I'm in the same vicinity, I always learn something new, and it's fun. It's fun for me. So like there's one time, there's one time where you're talking about like how like wide angle lenses, like lens tilt matters so much,
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And like it didn't click in my brain until you said that, and I'm like, oh yeah, it does. Holy shit.
No, I learned that from when my last photo job was like shooting models, and I remember I got kind of like called out a lot, and it sucked. Obviously, the feeling like, oh man, like I thought it was good, whatever.
Yeah.
But if you think about it, it's like, this is a learning process, and it's not to put like mean words. It's more so like you can learn from this. So it's all about like, even with any lens, just like the simple tilting or something. And Ray, like you and I, we're tall people. So like when we shoot, we have to get at like the model or cosplayer level. So we have to kind of lower ourselves. So like if we just stood up straight and shot like this, it's gonna create a different look, unless that's your intention, obviously. But like tilting plays a big role than just with the focal length. So
yeah, I feel that like there's a lot of photos of me just like fucking like, it's like I'm at war and I'm on the floor.
Yeah. I remember I walked by the con, I would just see on the ground like, oh, there's Ray doing his thing.
No, but it's crazy because like I'm very fortunate in my photography. In my time in photography, because like I've got to bounce ideas and things off of great creatives. One shot actually inspired a whole thing for me when it came to photos, and that was the long exposure portrait. And there was a moment where you took my camera and you actually took a picture of Lee at the neon spot.
That spot in Little Tokyo, right?
Yeah, exactly. Department of Transportation, I think. Yeah, like,
is that what it's called?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's what it's called. But you did something where you mid shutter, like you zoomed in and out with my 1855 on my SL1, and like I was like, like it blew my mind because like when I and like I have this thing of like really being over dramatic and explaining things, so like
Uh-huh.
I was like, fucking Simon, man, he did this thing where he zoomed in, zoomed out in like half a second, and he had like to still his hands. And I was like, this is the most gangster shit. Like I and then like I figured out that like when you uh when you do a flash in darkness, it freezes the person, and therefore you have more liberty with the subject. But
Yeah.
that came with like another learning thing for me. But like, what what spawns that like? Which, by the way, I'm just gonna say like, thank you. That was really cool of you.
Obviously, no problem, man.
Yeah, open up a whole Pandora's box of me in 2018 just doing all those shots. But it's like you see photo trends, right? You see people do different things. You see the fairy lights in 2017, like the what is it?
Oh God, I remember that.
Yeah, you had like all these photo trends. But like, what was like a photo trend that you dug that you're like, okay, I could sign on this.
Oh man, that was. See, the thing was like, now, when you think about photo trends, it's like let's just take like the fairy lights or the gel lights too. That
Yeah.
was a trend too.
Oh yeah.
Like I don't know, like majority of things. I think it's just me. Like that's how I was growing up. Was like I never. I always like to be part of what's going on, but at the same time, I didn't want to be part of it because it's like I learned in school that like if everyone's shooting the one thing, you're not going to stand out unless there's something particular that really makes your work different.
Mm.
So why not try to do something else that make your work stand out a lot more so people will recognize for who you are. So like I'm not saying people that did that is bad. It's just that like I think me personally was like
Yeah.
I just want to do something different. So I think the trend that I guess it wasn't a trend in the community
Yeah.
was for me was minimalism. I think
Oh yeah.
negative space was probably like the biggest thing for me, and I think that's what it was. Like I tried the fairy lights. Like I'll
Yeah.
admit it. Like I tried it. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't hurt to try it. I just couldn't get it down. I
Yeah.
didn't know what it was. Like I just couldn't get it. Then the gel lights it was more like I didn't have multiple lights and I didn't have gel, so I'm like, okay, well I'll just pass this. And so
Because like you went from heavy composites, and then you got into cosplay, and then you brought in this minimalistic style that
uh,
like blew my mind when I saw it. Because like it was like the framing, the like, and I see you shoot. You're very particular about posing and like the composition of the photo,
yeah.
which is really cool. Because like I'm the complete opposite. Like I I have someone stand there, and I'm like, okay, look over to that side. I'm like shouting like, but then like you're going like, no, I want this, and I'm like I need tips on how to do that better. But um, when it came to your minimalistic style, like what was your inspiration behind that?
Um, so minimalism, what caught my like interest was I always like looking at architecture photos,
Yeah.
and I'm really big on like line work and geometry.
Mm.
So like when things are so simple and solid, even when there's busy, as long as it looks simple, it to me it gives me this calm feel
Mm-hmm.
and like easy feel. Like I don't want to like stress out. It's kind of like simple, and I want to make it really direct. Of like, okay, you see everything, but my focus is on this person, and then I want my person to kind of interact with what's going on in my environment.
Yeah.
So I would say architecture photos kind of got into like where I kind of drew it from, and I think some Japanese photographers, I would say,
Mm.
some of their style is very like negative space, so I kind of drew to that, and I like that simplicity of like nothing's really going on in the background, but it plays a big role factor into your subject because where your subject stands. Like I don't know, I like simple things. I'm a simple person.
Yeah.
And you can just look at like right here, like I'm in this room. It's just white. I'm wearing white. It's like simple. Like I like simple things. So yeah, and then with coming to the directing thing, there's nothing wrong what you do. It's like because some people like that natural, like candid look. It's like, oh, let me see, like just look off that way. And then some people just have that natural, like
Yeah.
turn and pose, the way they know how to move their body.
Mm-hmm.
And so you kind of let things flow, and that's fine. For me, I kind of do a little mixture. But sometimes if I have a vision or a thought that like I want to come out, like I want it to look like this, I try to uh, direct everything. And
Yeah.
then I look around behind my subject and I see what's going on. I'm like, okay, how can I let this interact? Is there something interrupting me or not? Can I edit that out? Anything.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah.
I feel that because like I feel all right. So like in my head when it comes to photography, I feel that like um it's there's like lighting and composition, but there's also the psychology between the photographer and the model of like
Mm,
of trying to communicate the idea, you know, and
mhm.
it's one of those things where like you have to like find ways to elicit emotions from a model and like without confusing them, you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like and I feel like that it's like that's like the psychological thing in photography that I'm really interested in, you know, like it's like how like because like when it comes to cosplay like um 9 times out of 10 we're not working with seasoned models, we're working with like someone that's a big nerd about their about that series, and like
Mhm.
they have no modeling experience, so like you're trying to like say like communicate and direct like empathetically knowing that like they don't necessarily have the skill set, and
Yeah.
you try to get the best picture you can get, like
Mhm.
what is it, how like how do you usually approach this like when it comes to like this type of thing?
So I think you and I and whoever, any other photographers, especially in the community, can really relate of knowing like when you shoot with somebody, they're like, I never modeled before. Can you help me out? And obviously, as a photographer, that's your job. Like your job is to direct people, like
Yeah.
because you're the one seeing from a different perspective that they cannot see. So your job is to make it look as good as possible.
Yeah.
Um, so when the thing I always do is that I try to the first question I always ask is what's your selfie side? Like when you take selfies, what
Oh.
side do you like? Because there some people have like a certain side they like more.
Yeah.
So I work with that. That's the first step I go with. I said I usually tell them like let's do like a little warm up. Let's work with simple things and we'll just kind of go as along. We go along with it.
Yeah.
So I ask them that first question like what's your selfie side? Like what do you like side? Which side do you like more? And it'd be like oh I like this side. I'm like okay we'll work with that and we'll
Yeah.
just do a lot of angles like that, shoot side or 3/4 whatever it may be. Um, but yeah, like it's tricky. But at the same time, like I feel like to me, like if I was a cosplayer and I wanted my photos taken, I feel like it's also important to kind of study your poses of the character,
Yeah.
and I think it's even though you don't know how to model, it's okay. Like you can start from somewhere.
Yeah.
Just try to like learn basic male or female poses, or any character would say any, you know, like monster or whatever. Like, what's their pose?
Yeah.
And then look at yourself in the mirror. Take a simple photo. Like, does this angle look good and stuff like that? And because it'll make the photographer's job easier.
Oh yeah.
It helps. It really helps. And it's not saying like, well, I don't have to do it. It's a photography shop. The whole point of a photo shoot is it's to collab with each other and
Yeah.
work together and make the end result, your content, the photo, to look super good. It's like, oh, I did this, and this person shot this, and we worked together and made this awesome like image.
Exactly.
So yeah.
Yeah, I feel like cosplay photography is like the like one of the most ultimate like collaborative art forms because as like the cosplayer makes the outfit, the photographer captures that what is it, and catalogs that work, because like
Mhm.
it what is it, God knows that like when it comes to cosplay is like was especially after like many conventions it start to wear down, and like we're there to like catalog it when it was like at its like
Like prime, kind
yeah,
of, you can say. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
but yeah, no, because like, and it's cool because like I love talking to you about photography because you're an absolute nerd about it, and I love that. And like I learn more, like because like the selfie side thing, I'm like okay, like I could I could see that probably like in 2025 when like we're out of quarantine.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
we'll, uh, we'll we'll get to that. But so when it comes to anime and video games, like cosplay, that's usually from anime and video games. Like, what were some series that like were influential in your life, like when it came to like anime or video games for you,
That reflects to my photography,
or like you in
or
general?
just in general.
Just in general.
Oh. um, I always liked Dragon Ball Z. I grew up with that shit. Like,
Yeah.
I knew about it when I was a kid. Before, like, I'm not trying to brag like, oh, I knew, like, trying to be a gatekeeper or anything, but it's like I watched Dragon Ball Z before it even came out to America. So
Yeah.
I watched it in Japanese. I didn't know what the hell they were saying. I just like the fact that like they're screaming and they're shooting shit out of their hands and they're fighting, and then the story was interesting to me. Um, uh, but like, I don't know what animes. I think I liked very. I'm trying to think like what animes got me like really like into like the scene. There was that. It's current right now. It's like it was kind of big in 2018, 2019. It's called like Hoseki no
Oh,
Kuni or Hoseki something. It's like this gem like
La- La-
anime.
yeah, Land of the Lustrous.
Yeah, that one. Like I love that. Like I sadly I didn't continue, which I should, but
Yeah.
like I love that look. Like it's just simple, and seeing example photos of like people in East Asia, like those photographers, man, they're
Oh.
godly. Like they're so good. Like they capture this like it's like a scene. Like they can capture a scene kind of thing. And so that was definitely one of them. And that's how, luckily enough, I got to photograph the two UK girls. Like,
Yeah.
and that's like one of my favorite shots. Um, I like a lot of things that are black and white. So any anime or anything, I don't know. I try to incorporate anything I shoot. I try to incorporate my style into it.
Yeah.
Try to make it simple. For games, the only game that really sticks to my head right now that like makes me think of my style is the game Journey. I don't know
Oh.
if anyone has played that. Like it's like this like character in this cloak with this giant scarf and just floats around. But if you play this game, it's super pretty. It's like the world is just so empty, but like so simple. It's like very minimal. It's like you're in the desert and you kind of like explore along the way.
Yeah.
And like that's one of my dream shoots right now. So like,
Oh.
because I've been to the sand dunes before, and
Yeah.
like I'm trying to find someone, and I have one person, Narzi, is
Yeah.
considering it. So like, if
Yo.
it happens, like I really would be down to drive to the sand dunes and kind of bring that to life.
No, I feel that
But
like freaking there was a moment where like shout out to Narzi, amazing creative, amazing person. M.Rage is a dope clothing brand, but like
mhm.
when it came to Narzi, she had like have you ever seen the Hatsune Miku video music video for the Sand Planet?
No.
It's it's like one of the rare Hatsune Miku main releases that I really like because it's a hip hop
Mhm.
beat.
Ooh,
And it's like
something different.
yeah, it's a hip hop beat. It's really it's more edgy, and like
Mhm.
the setting is like Miku like in this post apocalyptic desert, like was it, and like she's just uh like she looks like she's been through some shit, and,
Yeah.
and then she's walking through the sand dunes with like her just whole squad, and it's like supposedly like to commemorate like the 20th anniversary of Hatsune Miku, and like each of those people are like different producers that did Hatsune Miku tracks.
That's tight.
Yeah, like
That's really cool. That's dope.
if there's one song that I highly suggest, it's Sand Planet. Like I love that song so much. But
Okay, I should check that out.
yeah, it's the same dude that did that produced that track did Peace Sign for Boku no Hero. So
Oh, nice.
so like yeah, Kenshi Unezo is a good dude. But aside from that, like what is it? There's also like other interests that you have, like that outside of photography. There's a
Oh,
what is it? There is what is it? You're an avid Smash player. And like your nest is a fucking problem, dog.
I need to get better, dude. Everyone's getting so much better now. So I've been playing in a good minute.
But like what was it? What was like growing up? Where you was it like? Was Smash like a thing with your friends that you did, or was it like
Yeah, like I remember playing Smash 64 and it was super cool. Like I never had a 64 growing up
Yeah.
until when Melee for the GameCube. I played that a lot. But like I never knew about the whole like community scene for it. I just like thought like this is a fun game. So I played it a lot with my friends. And then Brawl came out, I played that, and then for the Wii U, I didn't play it so much. And then until this recent one, Smash Ultimate, it's like, man, I'm getting really into this. And so seeing how the community got bigger, so I'm like, okay, like it's cool. And I got to meet like really interesting people.
Yeah.
So yeah, Smash is fun. I that's a game I don't think I can ever like leave. I think it's such a great game to me.
Yeah, most definitely. Cause for me, like all I do is play Samus, and like I'm just like a stage hazard for everybody. He's like, God damn it, here's his charge shot again.
Yeah, the zoner.
Yeah, this zoner, kill him now. But like,
Yeah.
it's just how different people play the game. Like, it's one of those things where like it's cool because like in the cosplay community, like there's like shout out to Franco setting up that tournament and like, having this like championship belt. But like
Yeah, yeah,
it's just super cool seeing like everybody come together and play a tournament. But then like that hasn't happened until like before COVID. But you know,
yeah. Yeah. Hopefully it'll come back.
yeah. Okay, so when it came to this, there was like actually a moment where like I was in full swing, and like I was like making a name for myself, and I was traveling around going nuts, right? I was like, oh my gosh,
Yeah,
cosplay.
man.
Like I was going nuts. But then there was a moment where like some of my favorite creatives, including you, like were like they you were going through like what was it, a cosplay photog burnout, you know? Like yeah, like what was it? And I didn't understand what that was until it happened to me, and I'm like, oh wow, I this is not the business, you know? It's
Yeah.
like how did that, like, if you want to speak on it, like what was that like, and like how did you eventually like get back into it, you know?
So, man, I don't know what it was because like I had this huge drive, and I know you can understand too. Like you had this drive to like, let me just keep making a name for myself. Let me just shoot, 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 shoot. Let me just keep going. And I'm trying to think like what made it mainly burn out. Like I think it was like I don't know. It felt like there was this point at my style. I feel like I plateaued. I felt like,
Yeah.
and I feel like it just became too similar. So that I just took a step away and I started shooting my own personal stuff. Like, because I have two accounts because
Yeah.
I separate from cosplay and my fashion,
Yeah.
and I didn't know until someone told me that like your fashion stuff is totally different the way you shoot cosplay. So I'm like, okay, well maybe I should go back to my fashion stuff and just kind of like keep the photo brain going and stuff. But I don't know. I got burnt out. I think something about I just couldn't felt like I was progressing,
Yeah.
and I was looking at everyone else's work, and everyone's just taking off, and I was like, man, dude, they're really trying, and like I don't know, something about me. I think stuff like happened in during my life, and
Yeah.
I think it kind of like played along with it. So I kind of want to take a break, and so um, that kind of had me like discover other new things I got into. So
Yeah.
I think mainly it was like uh, well, if it's photo related, I got into more like film, more like the
Yeah.
colors of film, and try to look at stuff. And I was watching a lot of movies too.
Mm.
So, um, and how did I come back? Honestly, like I try to tell people this, like go on Instagram, Pinterest, or any sites or any photo books that you have that inspire you, like save it. Like in
Yeah.
Pinterest and especially Instagram, I save photos that like whatever I like, if it just catches my interest, I save it. I make a collection. I make a little folder for it and be like, I'm like, I don't know what it is. I like it. I'm
Yeah.
gonna save it. And then sometimes I'll look through it and I'll be like, why do I like this? And I try to critique it in my head and break it down of why do I like it? What speaks out to me and stuff. So I kind of got into this little thing of just like looking at good work. And so, I was told in school that, like, to produce good work, you look at good work, or great work, you
Yeah.
produce great work. So, and it's not about stealing, it's just you're kind of getting ideas so you can kind of implement it into your style. So, as of like right now, my new hobby is coffee right now, and my
Yeah.
biggest interest right now. So I'm trying to put the two together. And so something about coffee is relates to some like simple things, simplicity. So like I want to shoot that now, and so I just did something recently,
Yeah.
and then I want to um, kind of like keep it going and trying to keep my brain going because I don't think photography is gonna leave from me because I'm a visual person.
Yeah.
So yeah. So if you are burnt out, anyone that's out there burnt out, like it takes time and it's okay that you're burned out. You just got to do something else, pick up something new, get your mind going again. And then, but I wouldn't say don't stop shooting. Like
Yeah.
that's the other thing I did do. I kept doing, like, I kept shooting. Like
Yeah.
I just took my phone and I just took photos. I'll download random apps. Like I'll just try to take something, like
Yeah.
just to keep my my vision, the way I see things, of like, okay, like I want to keep shooting something, like
Yeah. No,
So
that was the thing too, because like, what was it? When I was talked to you during like said burnout like phase, and like, what was it? Yeah, you were bummed out, but at the same time, you kept shooting, man. You had like a little point and shoot that you kept around. That like what was it?
did I?
I think
Was
so.
it, was
It was like
was
a
my
little.
Fuji X100?
I think it was like an Olympus.
I think I did. Was it a film, like a little tiny film?
Yeah,
Okay, okay, yeah.
yeah. Like, and like, but you still keep shooting, and that's the one thing that I enjoy because like when I hit burnout, like I actually like it happened to me earlier this year. So like and what changed what I did for changing gears was that I got into stand up comedy. And
Yeah, that's good.
yeah.
Like, good for you, man.
So like, but like it became like a thing for me to do because like I didn't like the idea of me clinging onto numbers and like that for like happiness, like
Yeah.
like, which is completely ironic that this is on YouTube and like numbers make me happy. But
No, but I know what you mean. Like this is different. Like
yeah,
you like when people look for numbers, it was like their intention was to like I need to grab the most popular person or like
yeah.
chase for clout, whatever it may be. Like I think it's different between like YouTube and here. Like
Oh yeah, because
that's
like
all I want to say.
no, I feel that because like, all right, so like let's talk on that then because like that arms race that everyone had there in like the 2017 2018 like phase of photography was like it was the most disgusting thing I see at like cosplay photog alleys is like people would have like a hit list of like I'm gonna shoot with X person, X person, X person, and I'm like standing there with my strobes going like I just want to make cool shit.
Yeah, like I understand why people want to go for like they have that list of like specific like hire people.
Yeah,
Like I understand that because like if they get their feature photo gets featured, it spreads your name out. But like that's it's not a good thing to aim for sometimes. Like sometimes you should go for the people that are like not as popular because like those I feel like that's the more true
yeah,
of some people. I'm not saying the hirers are not. Like
yeah,
I'm not
exactly.
saying that. It's just like um like it's just hard. I try to shoot everyone. I try to treat everyone as equal.
Yeah,
And obviously, if you see like a big name, you're like, cool, like thank you, like I was given an opportunity to shoot with you, and thank you so much.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
but there are some people that like go for numbers, and it's like, it, me personally, like I don't know. I never saw it that way. I would admit maybe like in the early stages of my cosplay, like
yeah,
photography, like I did was chasing for numbers because it was just like I want to get well known, and
yeah,
I kind of did, but like I wanted like I don't know, it made me rethink about everything and be like, it's just a number.
yeah,
I just want to meet people and
yeah.
stuff like that. So
I,
yeah,
I feel that because like there comes a moment where like because like in the beginning of cosplay for me specifically it was like I had such a wide net of people that I would like be like, hey, do you guys want to be my friend? Like and like that was like how I felt like cosplay was, and then like when things went down was that I had to be more selective of people that I kick it with and all that. But aside from that, it's like there came a moment of like chasing numbers, but then like I stopped. I stopped that mindset. I'm like, if I if I keep chasing these numbers, I am not going to be fulfilled. I will.
Mhm.
I switched gears where I was like, you know what, screw the numbers. I'm just gonna make as many cool things, and if people follow me, that's cool.
Yeah, I think that's what I did too. Like, it came to the point for me where, like, I just want to post things for what I want to post, and if people like it, then those are your real fans, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And going a little back to like the whole numbers game, it's literally the two things. It's like, are you chasing for clout or are you chasing for network? Because
Yeah.
there's a
Oh, there's
really there's two different things. It separates. It's like a scale. Like, are you going because you just want to become popular? You want to be like, you're just using people, or you're actually connecting with people and then continue to keep a relationship and then still spread your stuff. Like, it's like a better pathway to take than
oh
just clout chasing.
exactly. No, like what was it? I I had a crash course on this. I think I've told you before, but like what is it? There's an amazing cosplayer, Naomi. What is it? Naomaru. I
Yeah,
yeah.
I
She
love her, dude.
yeah.
She's so funny.
She's such a chill chick, and like,
Yeah.
what is it? You actually did a phenomenal 2B set with her. That
Oh, that's still my favorite set.
yeah.
That's one of my favorite sets.
But like to your point, like I saw her at Fanime, and
Mhm.
like I barely was starting shooting, right? So like the thing that I said that like haunts me like a little bit, like because like I was like rather than say like, hey, I'm Ray, I'm a photographer, it's like, oh, I'm Simon's friend, you're the person that shot your 2B. She's like, oh, cool. So like rather than establish myself as a photographer or a fellow creative, I used your name as like
Mm.
as like a thing of like, oh, notice me, but then it became like, oh, you're his friend, and like without any correlation of me being a photographer too, you know.
Mm, mm, mm.
So
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
so it was like a hard fast lesson, and like
Mhm.
trying to get like a mutual respect between other creatives for a network, you know,
Mhm.
rather than say like, oh, I know this person, respect me. It's like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And that's the important thing. Like, you're aware and you realize and you admitted your fault of that, and that's okay. Like, people live and learn. You make mistakes, and so, like, sorry
oh, you
about
good,
that.
you good, man.
Yeah, like, no, people do that, and sometimes they're not their intention. Obviously, like, it's not their intention. Some people don't have the intention to do that. Like, it's just a natural thing that comes out. Like, oh, like, I'm Simon's friend. Maybe this is my way to get through. But then when you look back at it, you look at the perspective. It's like that can sound like you're just name dropping just
Yeah,
to get something. That's honestly, I think name dropping can only it sounds like you're bragging, and
yeah,
I'm not a big fan of that. And I'll admit it, like, I've done it before, and I
yeah.
just don't not I'm not a big fan of it.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
So
Yeah, and like I take that now and I'm like, okay, rather than like name drop things, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna establish myself as a fellow creative, and like it's cool now because like I get to talk to her in Marshall, and I love talking to Marshall. Like Jesus
I
Christ,
love Marshall,
Marshall,
a beautiful man.
yeah, and Naomi's boyfriend, also an awesome photographer. Like
Yeah.
it's cool because like him, if it's me, him, and Heidi in the same vicinity, and we start talking anime, oh man, we go off. Every hot take that season, it's happening right then and there, you know. But yeah, no, like that's, and I think that's like the one thing that most creatives like when they first get into a scene, they it's a hard fast lesson is how to build network and how to gain respect amongst other creatives, you know, like,
Yeah.
and like it's what is it? I'm obviously not the most like well known like photographer whatever, but it's one of those things where like I have a loud mic and saying like, "Hey, I'm here." But
Mhm.
if you don't mess with me, that's fine. But what is it? I'll be like, "Yeah, no, I do work too. I'm not the best, but I'm trying things." You know?
Well, I feel like I think you're more well known than I am, because, like, I only stayed in like SoCal, like and maybe NorCal, and that's it. But you actually like traveled out. You went to East Coast and you went
Yeah.
up like way north in there. So you definitely like spread your name out more.
Mm,
Because like there's people like I'm like I don't even know who this person is. Like I'm like who's that? And so because like obviously the East Coast that's a whole different scene, and you kind of got a taste of that scene as
yeah.
long as like along with like other photographers in our area. So like uh don't make yourself sound like oh like I'm just a regular photographer shoot with me. No. Make yourself like big, man. Like if you are confident,
Yeah.
then be confident. Like
Uh,
you know, like
I,
sorry.
yeah, no, seriously, no, and that's real because like it's like sometimes I have these little rants of like if you're confident in your work, be confident in your work, and like I want us to normalize like being confident and rather than like try to like pull back and be meager, you know, like
Mm-hmm.
normalize the idea of being proud of your work and not
Yeah,
belittling
yeah,
it, you know. Yeah.
yeah. Be proud of it. Be confident of your work, and you can accomplish and execute it. But don't be like. I think we both understand the meaning of like being confident in your work is like not to be like a douchey
Douchebag.
person. Like don't think like you're better. Everyone's like, oh yeah, I shoot like blow. I'm the best. Like no, it's like I can produce like fair good work and work with me if you would choose to. If you like
Yeah.
my work, then let's work. Let's collab. Let's link up. Let's do something. Let's make it happen. You know.
Oh yeah, most def.
Yeah.
I always drop your name when if you're if you're at a convention and like people are like
Don't you don't have
no,
to.
no, but like I because like you, Baker, Justin, Alfie,
Oh yeah,
yeah,
Alfie.
the you four are like probably like the most influential in my style.
Oh thanks, man.
Like you specifically for composition and like just
Hmm.
overall feel like what is it super fucking cool. Like you have like this knack for like the Southeast Asian style and in the
Yeah.
in the photos I see. So I look at that as like a mood board. And like was it Baker because of fucking like how he like he would direct poses and do the pose better than the model.
Oh yeah, dude.
You know?
I love when he works. Like
Oh yo.
yeah, it's so funny, dude. And the one thing I keep telling him like I really like about his style is that he knows how to expose things like meter things correctly. Like when he
Yeah.
meters his photos, like and you see his photo results and he edits it, it's like it's different. It's not like people expect like this crazy like lighting. That's like no.
Yeah.
Like he just has his like exposure locked in, and I still trying to pick his brain from that. And he's told me before, but it's just something like I don't know, man. You got something that not people have.
Yeah.
So yeah.
No, it's dope because like like first time I met him was like I was handling Angela for a shoot with Justin and Dom, and like he came along with his Mamiya. So he has Mamiya, and then he had his light meter, and I'm all like, "Yo, like both my stepdad has both those things that you have in your hand. Like I
Nice.
haven't seen that in over a decade. That's dope." And like I just see him work, and I'm like, "Yo, that's fucking cool." But besides the point, like when it comes to that, like who are some people that like influence your style? Like that you could like say like okay like these are people that I could like.
Um, Alf is one of them.
Mm,
I remember I heard of Alf's name before I even met the guy,
yeah,
and there was a there's this girl named June. Like she's I shout out to her. Like what she got me into this community more. Like she
yeah,
kind of put me into this world more. So
yeah,
and she showed me Alf's work. And one day, like my photo I did of Kane, I
yeah,
did like this Mystic Messenger, and I
yeah,
did like the bondage rope shibari stuff.
yeah,
And like that's when she commented saying like, "Yo, this kind of looks like Alf's
yeah,
work." And then that kind of like really like woke me up. I'm like, "Oh, dude, that's awesome! Like that's really great to hear." And so Alf is definitely someone like I look up to because I love his style. Like the way he shoots, it's so different. Like he is so precise of like little things.
yeah.
So I love his style. His style is great. He sees things that not many people can see. I'm trying to think who else. Who else? Dang, because I've been finding new people too.
Like speak on it. Like
I don't know. Dang, I have to go in. Well, Marshall, I like
Yeah.
Marshall's work. Like he
Yeah.
doesn't do a lot of photography, but when you see his photos, I love his style.
Mm.
Very simple. I love his framing a lot, and that's the framing I like. Yeah, him. I also like was it Smile 250?
Yeah.
Uh, Keen or Kian or something. Yeah, from UK. Like, shout out to that guy. Like, I
Mm.
love his work. Super nice guy. Very humble. Like, I love his work too. Like, yeah. Right now, yeah, I don't know who else. I've been digging Charles's work.
Yeah.
Charles is someone that really progressed like
Fast.
fast, like, and you can tell how much work he put into it. And I was like, damn, Charles, like you surpassed everyone in a short amount of time,
No.
and
He,
and it really shows how much he really studied it.
yeah, and he's a student of the game, man. He's a student, and I love that about him. Like, what is it? Shout out to Charles. Like, it's nothing but what is it? Awesome things to say about him. Like,
Mm.
I freaking like the last photographer that I had on here, Athel. Like, he's a I love him to death, but like I showed him Charles's work, and like I would go off on a tangent, and like he was scrolling through Charles's things, and he's like, "Oh shoot, I was paying attention to this. Let me exit out." No, because like
No,
he's developed like this Renaissance style
no,
to
yeah.
yeah
I
that
remember I picked his brain. I'm like, hey man, like, like, what inspires you? Like, what do you look at? He's like, I don't look at photos. I look at paintings. I'm like, I think that's it right
oh
there. Like, look at paintings, and especially old Renaissance, because like if you notice, like that was just basically just like looking at somebody and just creating that, mixing
yeah
colors and everything, and to create like that look
look
and that direct lighting, like that's a whole different thing. So it makes sense of like to observe paintings
yeah
in a gallery or something.
no that's awesome because like there be moments like where like I love this community because like you see people just grow and do crazy cool things, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and like what is it? And it's like I'm happy to be a part of it. You know, it's like
Yeah.
that. It's super fun. People are chill. But when it comes to like your dream shoot, I know you talked about Journey, but like what would be like a shoot that like you would like want to execute on?
Like any shoot.
Yeah, like if you had no cap on budget, like what would you use?
Man, man. Okay, so one is definitely Journey. There's another one I always want to do, an underwater shoot. Like I had this
Oh,
whole like visionary for it, but like it's so hard because I have like a waterproof pack, but
yeah,
it's so hard to shoot in it. Like I remember I asked Topher because Topher did it well,
yeah,
and he said like he's like it's tricky. It's fucking tricky. Like I'm like okay, so that's something I have to learn on my own later on again. And then I always want to do something like in the forest, like
mm,
deep in the forest, very like mystical kind of look, kind of like dreamy. Um, and then I guess if it's like work that I would like to do a dream shoot, like I would love to shoot for like Louis Vuitton. I, like
like
I love high fashion like looks. Like it's just super cool to me, and some of their like concept, I think like Gucci too or something. Like some
yeah.
of their lookbook photos, I was like, man, it's so fucking weird, but I love it. Like something like,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, because it's weird. Because like when I look at, because like there's this thing that I used to do when before quarantine happened was that I'd go into a mall. I wouldn't buy anything, but I would just go and like walk down down the mall and just see the different photos that they put up as advertisements, like
Mm-mm-mm.
how they light it, and like sometimes you'd see like some really avant-garde things on Nike where it's just high grain, no don't give a fuck. It's like I took this on a point and shoot, like fuck y'all. but
Yeah, yeah. I
but
think that's what makes the photos interesting.
yeah, but no, it's cool. So like, high fashion, underwater. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
I always wanted to do underwater as well, but like
yeah.
I just don't have the balls to put my camera into an underwater bag, you know? Like
No, like I feel like if you're gonna invest into it, like you gotta buy like the actual like harness that's designed for your model,
Yeah.
where it's like well like sealed and everything, because the bag can only do so much,
Yeah.
and so yeah. And then if you're trying to light it too, like I was told that you can't put a flash in there. Like you have
Yeah.
to buy a specific like underwater flash, because like something about like because of water how dense it is, like it cannot read it through. So it won't even like read the remote control. Like if you're
Oh,
trying to transfer the signal, like it won't even read it. So I was like, damn, that sucks. So like I was trying to think of like other ways, but it's a lot of money to invest right now. But,
yeah.
but
No, yeah, no,
try,
yeah, no, because like that was the other thing too, is like how do you light it, you know?
mhm.
Jeez, that's crazy. But shoot, man,
It's
like
tricky.
it's tricky.
It has to be trial and error for sure. Like you have to play with it.
Yeah. What what was it? What camera do you have now? Like, is it the same Fuji?
Yeah, so I have a Fuji X-T2. I do have a native Fuji lens. It's a 35 f2,
Mm-hmm.
which since it's cropped, it becomes like almost like a 50.
Yeah.
Um, and then the rest of my lenses, they're all Canon or other film lenses. It's just adapters to it. Yeah, I dig it. I love the colors. Yeah, it's not full frame. Yeah, the focusing is not compared to Sony. If we're comparing to Sony, like Sony defeats it by a ballpark. But like
Yeah.
I enjoy it. Like I have a huge love for film photography. So
Mm-hmm.
like seeing that Fujifilm has kind of like designed it that way, it
Yeah.
makes me think back of my roots of when I first started, like understanding shutter speed and like ISO and stuff. And sometimes I'll just shoot like that. I'll just set it one way or understand it again and just kind of go through like uh, just the basic fundamentals of like photography again. And it's nice to do that every once in a while. And I think that's what, and that goes back to like if you feel burned out and you want to keep shooting,
Yeah.
go back to your roots. Like go
Yeah.
back to how photography kind of started in like the three settings of like aperture, ISO, and shutter speed with three triangles. Like
Yeah.
I would suggest just play with that
Yeah.
and just understand it again. Like sometimes going to your basics is helps a lot.
Most definitely, because like I feel like when people first start, like the one thing on the triangle that they always play with is the aperture, like crank it to 1.8,
Mm-hmm.
like
Yeah,
bokeh
yeah,
bokeh 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 bokeh, and then it's weird because like like you see this constantly. It's like you see like someone, they finally get a 50, they crank it to 1.8 and they get the bokeh and they're like, oh cool. And then like when someone finally gets a strobe and they're like, oh, I'm a photographer, and they just crank it to like aperture 8 1 over 160, and then like what is it,
yeah.
and then like they go nuts like that. But then I see people get stuck there, but like the time where I'm like really like tuned in is when they get past like they experiment with those, and then like they start leveraging light and they start like playing a bit
Yeah.
more, you know, like it's it's crazy because like I when I go through my Instagram, like the one way for me to like a photo is like, how the fuck did you like that?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And you try to look at the like the image carefully, the edges, and see like what other light sources are hitting it. And you
Yeah.
try to imagine like what kind of modifiers did you use. And yeah, I always do that. It's just fun, like little game to play in your head.
There's one photo. Shout out to Rudy. Was it?
Oh, dude, love that guy.
Yeah,
His
Rudy.
work is just so good.
There was one shoot that he did with like, I think it's Toshiki Girl, I believe. I could be completely
Mm-hmm.
wrong. Or it was like a fashion company, but it it was weird because like the model, he had two gel lights, and then like it looked like he had like five different lights on the model, because
Mm-hmm.
the rim light. All right, so like the two different gel lights was like pink and turquoise, and the rim light had had turquoise on one side, and then the background had like had pink, and then the other
Mm-hmm.
side had turquoise, and then or had turquoise in the back and then pink on the rim light. and it was like perfect. Like, what is it
Huh.
on both? And then like, I picked his brain on the picture, and it was like he had two reflectors, like, reflect the rim onto the person. Like he only had three
Hmm.
lights, and
Nice.
it blew my fucking mind. I'm really terrible at explaining this, but like,
No, I know what you mean. Like, yeah, like it's crazy like what lighting can do, especially when you have multiple lights and you have control of it. Like you can really like mess around a lot and do images like that where people will get really confused and like how'd you do it? Because like you said, like he used three light setup and then he used reflector or reflectors to bounce around light and create that effect. And it's just like what the heck?
yeah, no, exactly. Like, so it's one of those things where like for me, I really dig practical effects. Like if you're able to land it in camera, and like
Mhm.
I'd see like a photo, I'm like, or like especially when it comes to like photos from Russia, like there was like a
Oh,
photo,
yeah,
there
dude.
there's a photo
Russian.
there's a photo of like Laura Croft being mauled by a bear, and I'm like, that's a fucking bear. They didn't Photoshop that motherfucker. It's a fucking bear.
Dude, Russian photographers, dude, they're something else. Dude, they're super creative, super
Yeah,
good at their work is so clean. Like it's like there's us and there's like East Asia like
yeah.
photographers, which are great, and then you have Russian photographers or even cosplayers or even like creatives. Like they're super like,
Oh, they're about their
oh
craft.
man, dude, they are. Like I had to talk about it with Michael. We're like looking at this like Russian photographer or a cosplay, and we're like the hell's happening? They're just so good. Like,
Yeah, like they there's like a photographer that did a set for a Last of Us set in Chernobyl, and
oh yeah, 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 I seen that. Yeah,
that's
yeah.
yeah, that shit was so
So
sick.
good.
Like they
So good.
so good, but they're risking like gamma radiation to like
Oh yeah,
yeah.
that's too late. They probably
They probably
got
got it.
it.
It's like there was that, and then there was actually another photographer like Jay Medium Bless. He showed me because like it's one of those things where like because I love talking to him because he always like says like, man, you think we're good? Fucking Russians, dog. And so he turned me on to the Russian scene. And then shout out to Jay. That shit was crazy. But like there was a fine arts photographer that did like this Assassin's Creed set, like,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just phenomenal. It takes place in like the castles in like Moscow in like Russia, and
Ooh.
I'm like, I this is too good. Like fuck.
The thing that sucks that like people outside of like US like Singapore or something like they have like access to like cool locations.
Yeah.
Like for us, like you have to drive pretty far or you have to fly to them just to get a cool shot. Like if you're in Europe, man, like get like a freaking castle shot or something or like that cobblestone like feel kind of thing. Like we don't have that here. It's just freaking palm trees and it's freaking hot and traffic.
No, and that's the thing though. It's like it's all perspective, like relative to like where you are, because like
Yeah.
I love Seattle because it's fucking easy mode. Like it's overcast all the time, so like you just have like a natural softbox. But then
Mm-hmm.
they're like, yeah, I always wanted to take pictures at that neon light spot that everyone take pictures at. I'm like, oh, the Department of Transportation. That place has been shot to death, man.
Yeah, that's been viewed. But like you said, it is perspective because like to us it's nothing, but
Yeah,
to them it's something. You can flip that too. It's like
exactly.
we want to go there, and then we're like, oh, it's the same shit kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
But
Like
yeah,
yeah, like I think we're gonna wind this down. I'm gonna pick your brain on a couple of other things, and because like
sure thing.
we're at minute 10, so like, and I could edit out some of my rambling because I was rambling like a motherfucker.
No worries, no worries. Sorry if we like did get off track.
Oh, dude, don't worry about it. Like I, the thing I hate most about me is that like I when I get to a certain thing, I'm like, okay, how can I make this into a cool point? And I'm like,
Mhm.
fuck, that's an awkward question.
No, man, it's I think it's something like you just started this. So this is kind of like as you go along, you just learn new things and create like a newer structure or
Yeah,
add on to your structure of how you do things, and it'll be like better than before.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I'm sure
exactly.
like years down the line, if you look back at your first episode, you're like, what the hell was I doing, kind of thing. So just kind of go with it right now. I think just kind of learn as you go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Like I feel that like because like all right, so because I've started this podcast, right, and it's I'm learning a new skill set. It's presenting.
Hmm.
I'm now a presenter, so
Hmm.
I have to not only be concise and get rid of my filler words because if there could be a drinking game for every time I say what was it, and there's it's something like like
Yeah, no, no. We'll all be drunk.
yeah we'll all be drunk by like minute 10, but uh regardless of that, okay, so getting back into it, so it's really cool. I'm really I'm really happy that you came on and like talk
Thanks for
process,
having me.
dude. So
It means a lot.
what when it comes down to it, like what's the thing that like keeps driving you to create, you know?
I think seeing things. I think like sometimes like even the simplest thing, like I don't know if you saw, like I did like a little self portrait of like my
Yeah,
bathroom mirror. Like, man, every time I walk in there at a certain time, like that sun just hits such a nice light, and I'll just like look at myself and I'll be like, man, this is such a like a cool image. It's so simple, just the way the light hits the face and just kind of create. You can create that Rembrandt light, like
yeah,
so. Like I don't know. I try to like again like the way I try to see things is very simple and minimal. So like just looking at things around, I'm like, oh man, that's cool. Like that's cool. I want to create something. Or like I said before, like I'll save photos or look, go just one day spend like half an hour just looking through photos and just see like, whoa man, that looks cool. That looks cool. Like I want to save that. I want to try to replicate or whatever. I like the lighting, the color, whatever. And yeah, I don't want to stop doing something because I think we're getting older that
yeah.
I don't want to be like I wasted time. So um, I kind of already did that being burnt out. So now is the time of like, okay, try to do something else and trying to stay creative and be on your feet kind of thing. So um, I think that's why coffee is something for me I've been getting into because it's
Which
more than just learning about coffee, but knowing how to get into coffee and being creative, like knowing how things are brewed or whatever it may be. And so I try to relate that with photography of like, okay, like being creative, think on your feet, vision something and try to bring it out kind of thing.
got
So yeah.
like talk about that, like when it like there's different things that what is it? There's like obviously with wine snobs, it's like the sommelier, like
Yeah, that
and
shit's crazy.
yeah, but you got into coffee and like there like I saw your French press. I see the slow pour, the blue bottle like slow pour. Like
Mhm.
what is it? What got you into the world of coffee and like what makes you passionate about coffee?
So funny thing is like I never liked coffee. Like when I started, I thought coffee was freaking gross.
Yeah.
And then during my process of trying coffee when I did like probably like high school, like I never understood it. I'm like, this must be a grown up thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I tried drinking coffee with creamer and sugar. I just never found that right balance. So I ended up just forcing myself to drink black coffee, and then I got used to it, and I ended up liking it. And then so the thing about me, I realized that growing up, I've always been interested in like tools, like
Yeah.
little things. So like example, like photography, like it's the final result is a picture, but what goes behind all this? What creates all this? It's like it's this box, this metal box that has all these gears and functions, and you tell it what to do, and then it opens a curtain, and you allow light in, and you do all this stuff, and then it's more than just that. Then it's like what the lens, and then the light, the you know the strobes and the background and things that go like little things, and that really fascinated me. So like even not just photography, like things I got into, like I like using my hands a lot. So that's what like if remember like I have my kendama with me because I
Yeah.
always like to juggle around and do something with my hands. So I can never stay still.
Mm.
Like I was kind of finicky. Like I needed to hold on to something. And that sounds kind of deep right there. Um, but with same thing with coffee. Like right now, I'm like really into pour over. So
Yeah.
just a simple thing is like having a grinder and then starting with your beans and roasting it and grinding it down and having hot water, knowing the right water. Like I guess I like being technical. I think you
Okay.
could say. So I think that's why when it goes back to you saying like, oh, when you shoot things, you kind of want a certain way
Yeah.
how things are done because I'm kind of technical. So Um, with coffee, yeah, same thing. Like I just the process of brewing, it's very therapeutic. I think that's the same thing when I shoot minimalism. Like it's very therapeutic for me,
Yeah.
and I try to keep myself in that state. So coffee is something I enjoyed a lot now, and I always like that atmosphere of like a cafe.
Yeah.
So like, um, and I feel like I can go hand in hand with like something calm and peaceful and minimalism. It's like merge the two. And
Yeah.
seeing that there are coffee shops around here that do have that similar sense of style, so it's like cool. Like if I do happen to pursue coffee, then like I have a sense of like what kind of shop I want to make it look like. Very simple look, but very
Mm,
homely.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, I feel that
uh,
because I've seen your recent work, and it's fucking cool. I like the pour shot with like the rectangle framing and like the hand protruding over the.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, man. Like,
yeah. So oh, if I can speak on that
yeah,
a
you can speak
little.
on that.
Yeah. So like because I'm in this creative like art block and I'm trying to keep myself busy. So like again, I'm trying to keep myself inspired and motivated. So obviously I'm so into the whole Japanese film aesthetic kind of look
Yeah.
and coffee, and I really like the way Japanese photographers photograph their things. It's very like this like bright high highlights, no shadows. There's shadow, but it's not harsh.
Yeah.
And it's something about these rich tone colors that they choose, whether it's warm or cool.
Yeah.
And I want to implement all that together. Be like, okay, let's do something. Let's make a project. So my project right now, I'm trying to do every month. I'm trying to create like a magazine cover.
Oh.
So so if you look at that image, it shows my frame, and then I titled it. So I want to call it Coffee Time, and you can see the cute little thing Coffee Time, so people don't know what it says. It says
Yeah.
Coffee Time, and then in the little subtext is basically saying like, start your day with a nice cup of coffee. Basically, that's what it's saying. And then I have a bottom, or I'll throughout every month it will move around, but it basically show what month I did it, the year, and what volume. So right now I'm doing volume 1, and that's the start of it. And I'll add more
Nice.
photos if I want to create like a little magazine page.
Yeah.
So I want to do this little project, and plus it'll kind of have me learn and keep myself like mentally going of like, okay, stay creative, try to create more things. And also it's helping me be a little more in the graphic design route, because I kind of did that in my last photo job, and it kind of forced me to do graphic design work. So I'm trying to implement everything together. And yeah, so yeah. And then relating to coffee, there's another project I'm trying to do too. Is like I'm trying to do video work because I've never done it. I really want to create like a little short thing because I feel like I can do it. So like I'm gonna, like, I guess people are watching. Only some people know, and I guess I'll say it here. Like I'm gonna make a little calm video of me making coffee. It's like something simple, and then so it's a little project I'm trying to work on, and hopefully it goes well. But yeah.
That's awesome, because like that's why it's like when you talk coffee, when you talk like it all goes into like being technical, and which is really fucking cool. Like, and you could see it with like the brewing videos that you do, like some of the live videos you do with on Instagram. Follow them on Instagram, by the way.
Yay.
Yeah. But also it translates into your photos, and it's cool that you're like, it's not just solely for photos. You bring it into another medium, like brewing coffee, and that interest. Like, just out of curiosity, like, and this is me about coffee. Like, do you have a particular like blend that you like? Like what goes into like your decision of getting coffee? You know?
So I really like, if we go to like roasting levels, like I really like medium light. I used to be a big dark roast guy. Like I like the bold bitter flavor, but then when I got like shown into these other tastes, like start digging the lighter flavors more. And I think because the lighter flavors have more of this fruitier taste, and so right now I don't have a specific like kind of beans, like Colombian or Ethiopian like beans, but I love them all. But I go as of right now, I'm going for the taste, like the flavor notes. So like right now, the fruitier flavor notes is kind of like my thing right now.
Okay.
and I'm always open to explore. I'm still learning. This is all new learning for me, and it's really exciting for me because it's like cool. Like at the end of this, if you break it down,
Yeah.
it's just hot bean juice. That's what it is. It's just hot bean juice. If you think about it, like it's just hot bean water.
Yeah.
You're just pouring a crushed up bean and just pouring hot water and you drink it. If you break it down, that's what it is. But then it's the same with photography. It's just a square
Yeah.
with a picture. But then it's more about than just the images. What goes behind it? What's the steps? And then that's, to me, that's the fascinating thing about like photography or coffee or anything that you're really into, is that if you appreciate the whole process of everything. So like if you go back to photography, like my favorite thing is like, it's not even just like interacting and taking photos. It's, for me, it's when you take that shot and you know that's the shit right there. Like,
Yeah.
and I know you had that feeling before where like you took the shot, oh excuse me,
Yeah.
and you're like, that's it, that's the shot. Like,
Yeah.
I know I got that down. It's that feeling you get, and in that moment you click and you tell it to just open that shutter and close it, or even the mirror. Like,
Yeah.
it's something magical about it that I really like, and I think that can relate to like kind of a coffee, of like, you know, something about like pouring and just letting it extract and everything. Yeah, I can go on. Sorry.
No. That's why it's like, because like when you, that's a cool thing about this podcast that I love, is that like I bring on people for a certain skill set, but then like when they are passionate about like another skill set, I'm like, oh, like tell me. And then it's cool because it spills over to the other passion, and like influences. It's not mutually exclusive, it's actually interwoven.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Like, it's nice that it does that. It kind of shows like kind of like who you are. It's like you don't like, you try to make sure like the things you do in your life kind of influences other things.
Yeah.
In a good way, in a positive way, you know? Like, so yeah, it's cool. I like it.
Yeah. Because like what is it, your coffee is like my stand-up comedy, where like when like it's one thing to tell a story on stage, but there's nuances to like how it makes it funny for a crowd, you know? Like
yeah,
you like I can't just say like fuck, shit, damn it, fuck, and like expect laughs. Like there has to be like some context. There has to be like, it's like doing a photo shoot. Like you have to guide the model to get the good content, right? I have to guide a crowd to my punchlines.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
Yeah. So it's like where the fuck am I are you bringing me? Here's where I'm bringing you. And then like I hit them with, and it's like boxing. Like I'm ducking and weaving, and like and like I'm like seeing what a crowd gives me, and I'm like, okay, I could do these jokes.
Yeah. You got to read the crowd. And so it's the same thing too. Like, yeah, if you're going back to photography, like if your model's not feeling it, you know, they're like, no, you got to make sure they're comfortable. That's the key thing. Like making sure your client or your model or cosplay is comfortable of what you are trying to direct them to. And making sure like we both can be agreed on, like, okay, we're cool with this. Like, let's do this. Let's make this happen. So, yeah.
I feel I feel that because like the way that I measure if I did a photo shoot right, and if I did a stand-up set right, is if someone at the end of my set, of either both, come up to me and go like, oh yeah, what's your Instagram? You know, like they actively want to network with me. So like that's when I know I killed on stage, or that's when I know that I did well at a photo set. So,
yeah, and I think that's kind of like one of those satisfactions that you kind of like want and need, of like, sometimes you don't need much, you just need a simple, like, someone just saying like, hey man, you killed it, you know, this is dope, like, oh, like, hey, you want to work in the future or something, just like those little things that can make a huge impact on you. So yeah, like, it's awesome. It's a great feeling.
Yeah,
it's definitely great.
And to bring it all back, dude, you were definitely one of those dudes for me. Like
dude.
Yeah. So like
I'm glad.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where like I attribute a lot of like, what is it? different insight into photography, and was it actually like giving me confidence in the beginning, because there's other places I could have went and got like cut down, but then you were actually like very constructive, and
Oh,
like
dude, thanks. Yeah, no, I'm glad that I made an impact. Like, I don't know, like, I'm pretty sure probably said things wrong. I don't know, but like, I'm glad that I guess my work has influenced you in some
yeah,
way, and that's good to hear because it makes you feel good and it makes me feel good
yeah,
because
most
it's
definitely.
like wow, I didn't know my work can really make an impact on people
Oh,
and their style of shooting.
oh yeah, most definitely, and like legit, it's like one of those things where I'm like, because I say that you're like one of the ultimate technicians. It's like you and Justin are like in that like tier of like absolute technicians. Because like you guys are pretty good at getting what you want in a photo, you know.
Hmm.
And then like
I try to.
yeah, exactly. But other than that, man, like, yo, dude, thank you for coming on. Like,
No, dude, thank you for having me as part of your guest in this awesome, this creative talk, and I'm glad to be part of it. That's awesome, man.
yeah, dude, anytime, dude. Like, what was it? Because like I created this just because like I didn't I'm not able to uh talk to people at conventions like now, you know. So like
Hmm.
one of the main reasons why I created this was like to keep up and just like see like, hey, like, how you doing, like, you want to jump in the podcast and like let's just catch up and like have fun with it, you know.
Yeah, no, and that's good. It's healthy. It's just have people that don't really talk much be like, hey, man, you want to talk? Like, let's talk about stuff. Like,
Yeah,
what are you doing with your life? Hope everything's good. And it's good to socialize. That's the key thing. And dude, super proud of you, man. Like, glad that you're doing this is good. It's not, I mean, just good for the other people you're doing it for, but it's also helping you, man. Like,
yeah,
that's the big thing.
yeah, most
So,
most definitely. Well, that concludes episode 8 of Creative to Creative. This is Simon, Nomis Photos. Thank you guys for tuning in. Like, comment, subscribe. Make sure you follow Simon on the social medias. It's gonna be down below underneath this like little portrait. And thank you guys for tuning in, and take it easy.
peace out.